So we have Janay Vakil here with us today. Unlike most people, you've made your money by customizing sneakers, and I'm happy to have you here on So What's Next, bro.
Thank you for having me.
How did you get started in this, like customizing sneakers?
So I actually started with painting, like painted customs. Started in about 2016, 2017. Just
Okay.
got a airbrush, some paints, completely ruined a pair of dunks, and yeah, I started doing that. Got better at it, and then after I graduated, I came across, I always used to follow this guy called the Shoe Surgeon. He's
Okay.
out in LA.
Yeah.
And he is a specialist in deconstructing and reconstructing popular silhouettes, so like Jordan 1s, Air Force 1s, Dunks, etc. And like having followed him, he also runs like courses to learn what he does. But out in the UK, and I was out in the UK, he was out in the US, and it was super expensive just to do a 1 week long course. So having graduated, I came across London Seeker School, and their courses were a lot more affordable, a lot more accessible being in the UK. So I took the chance because I wasn't really doing anything because graduated and COVID, and just sitting at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as an engineer, I was 100% sure I wasn't going to get into engineering. After doing the 3 years of that, I was like, bas ho gaya. So yeah, found London Sneaker School and did a week-long course. Absolutely loved it. Made a pair of Air Max 1s. And I just knew like this is what I want to get into.
Bro, that's firstly very interesting. That's what like the entire podcast ka point is, that after graduation, whoever's confused or in their college whoever's confused, what do they need to do? So you're like the perfect guest firstly. Secondly, tell me this, that how do you even do it? Like I've seen one of your videos where you break the entire shoe down to its sole,
Right.
then you start building it up again, right? So what is the entire process like?
So I'll use the shoe as the example. We start off with buying a like donor pair, it's called.
Okay.
So that's the pair that you take the sole from. The sole has to be an original Nike or an Adidas or whatever that you're reconstructing.
Right.
So the sole you take off, you take the complete original upper off, and that's your base. Now the upper can be constructed however you want, like whatever choice of leather you want. Any design changes, like we have the swoosh here,
Yeah.
completely change the look of it and then put it back onto the sole. I mean, that sort of makes it a custom as opposed to making it like a like counterfeit or a replica, is because we use a original Nike sole and we're customizing the upper on top of that sole.
So basically just giving it a new look. Now people usually do it with paints and either stitching. I know you do it with stitching, but can you tell me why do you do it with stitching and not with the paints?
So I tried doing the whole painted customs thing initially for a couple years, and I eventually very early on noticed that the paints don't last. I mean, even if you use the best quality paints, and there's a brand called Angelus that is pretty much synonymous with all customizers, and even their paints, if you use the shoe daily or even weekly, it's gonna, like, the paint is gonna chip off. Like, shoes are very common. You get scuffs. Even your own foot rubbing against one, it's gonna scuff. So, like, having noticed that, I thought, what's the point of putting all that time and effort into customizing it with paint for it to just rub off in
After
a year, 2 years? So, like, the next step to that is, can you make a shoe that lasts forever? And the only way to do that is to completely customize the upper by stitching it. You use premium leathers where it's been like veg tanned or chrome tanned, where the finish of it is going to last. Like, it's going to last the test of time no matter how much you use it. And eventually, even like these sort of shoes, when they age, they eventually look better than when they are brand new.
It's like fine wine.
Yeah, like exactly. Like, if like this leather, if you see, so that's like natural crushed leather.
Okay.
This kind of leather will it will age as you use it, and like every time you step out in it, it'll catch some like dirt or dust or oil or something, and it'll just get a little darker, a little like richer in color.
Correct.
And like that's the
But if it's like a white sneaker, like if I have customized it into something white,
Yeah.
so it will still look like better as it ages.
I mean, a white sneaker, I think, like, will look great for the first wear.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a, like, you know, white Air Force Ones are, like, famous for being good for one wear and then it's just creased and it's...
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still, I feel like if it was painted white as opposed to being white leather, it's you're going to see the difference.
Correct. Bro, I mean, I wanted to ask you this only, that why are the Air Force Ones the most popular like sneakers, even if after people know that after one wear it's diminishing in value in terms of the color and in terms of the everything material, all that.
Yeah.
So then why do people still prefer that?
I mean, it's one of, if not the most iconic like silhouette that Nike has ever made. So, and it's for it being that iconic, it's cheap and it's readily available. Like, it's 7 or 8K.
Okay.
And you get it at the store at the Nike, so you don't have to pay resale most of the time. So it makes it accessible as a sneaker to customize. It's a great blank canvas to work on.
Right, and it's the most, I think, preferred sneaker that people want to customize.
Yeah, definitely.
So you get the most demands for that.
Not for handmade stuff.
Okay.
For handmade stuff, I mean, maybe it's because it's India. There's a massive demand for Jordans, like specifically Jordan 1s. But yeah, people, the main silhouettes are, you have the Dunks, mainly low, the Jordan 1 high or low, and you have the Air Force 1. That's your main 3 silhouettes, like, in demand.
And they're the easiest ones to customize, or what?
In terms of like painted or handmade stuff? Handmade, fairly, all 3, because if you look at the shoe side by side, if you put the Jordan 1, Dunk and Air Force 1, it's almost identical. Like, they're all, it all boils down to 2 constructions in shoemaking. It's the Oxford or the Derby.
Okay.
Any shoe you see will come down to either being one of the 2. And I mean, there are like reasons for that. If you want me to go into the details of shoemaking. But yeah, I mean, when you see a Air Force 1 and a Dunk and a Jordan 1, the Jordan 1 and the Dunk is a standard Derby construction, and the Air Force 1 is your standard Oxford construction.
Okay.
So all pretty basic in the way it's made. So,
bro, now let's look at it as a business. Okay. For example, let's look at it customizing sneakers from a painting point of view and a stitching point of view.
Right.
Now, my guess is that paints take a little less time compared to stitching it, right? Let's say you have a business where you have multiple people who come in every day and they want something customized. So would you rather have it like painted and just give it to them, make money, quick money off of it? After 2 years, you know they'll come back again after it wears and tears. Or would you genuinely want to have something where it's everyday people are coming in, you're giving them the customized version in terms of the stitching version of it, like this, and then they basically are happy for like like 5 years, or let's say 3-4 years, and then they come back, but you will make less money off of it. So what would you rather have?
I mean, I didn't really get into this for the money in the first place. Like, for me, it was a passion project.
But many people do.
Yeah, of course. Like, if you are looking to make money, I wouldn't suggest you get into this.
Okay.
like from personal experience, I'm saying this, like, it's a massive investment. At least the shoemaking. The painting, anyone can do it. You go get paints, get a shoe, some brushes and acetone, and you can customize the shoe. Like, the investment there isn't very high. Here you're getting machines, you're getting tools, you're getting leather, all of that with no guarantee of the orders or anything.
But the profit margin is much better.
I mean, it depends, like, because it's art is all subjective. Like, one artist might be charging artist who paints, he might be charging probably the same as what I'm charging for a handmade sneaker.
Right.
Because he probably values his art more than other people value their.
But so now let's say you did one with Sonu Sood, right? So how much did you make off that?
So I mean, it was fairly early, and that was just my way of marketing my brand. So it was almost like a gift for him.
Okay, but then if let's say you would have sold it to him, it's not
Right,
a gift,
right, right.
And if you're like still early, but he actually wanted it from you, how much would
Yeah.
you take off it?
I mean, for the pair that I gave him, which was the Air Jordan High, Air Jordan 1 High, that would be 55,000.
And if
for
you're
a
like
pair.
fairly like good in the game, like a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're established
Yeah.
and you have a steady stream of loyal customers coming in, and you have that presence, you have that dominance in the industry, like the shoe surgeon. There are like few names who everyone doing what I do know, and they know like they're at the top, which
Yeah.
is the shoe surgeon is at the top.
Yeah.
There's one guy in Hong Kong called Zyler,
Okay.
and maybe this one man in Amsterdam in Holland. He's called Vice.
Okay.
So these three guys who have been following the most, they are the top of the game. And when you get there, you can charge $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for one pair, and people are going to pay for that, because it gets to the point where it's hype.
Yeah.
Like how we talk about resellers, like selling shoes for the hype purpose of it. When you get to that stage, it's about hype.
And then it's like, I think, an unlimited source of money that you can get
Exactly.
just because of your art.
Exactly.
And it's on you, it's not on the other corporation that's selling the shoe or who owns the shoe.
Mhm.
Right? So in India, whom do we have? Like, I think it's Chaitanya Dikshit.
In terms of customizers,
Yeah.
he's probably the biggest. There are quite a few like really good artists doing custom work on sneakers. In Mumbai, you have Brushler, I think that's her name. That's her Instagram name. There's Courtside. Quite a few people like doing painted, like really good painted customs. So,
Bro, like, this is crazy money. As far as I
Mhm.
think, from an outsider perspective, if I'm customizing shoes, I know initially, I think anywhere you go, you're going to take in a heavy investment into it.
yeah.
But after that, if people know you through whatever Instagram, I think, is your main source
Mhm.
of marketing in
Mhm.
this. After that, I think you're set, right?
Yeah.
And do you think like this in a 15-year, 20-year down the line gig that you can do?
Yeah, I feel like we haven't even
Touched the point.
we haven't even started. Like, this is just the cream on top. Like, we haven't.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. Like, I don't think people understand the value of customizing more than the value of just getting like a shoe that's already made and
Yeah,
just wearing
yeah.
it. Like, if I'm a consumer, I would rather have a customized version of the shoe, even if it's expensive,
Mhm.
rather than just buying a Jordan and just wearing them like it is just like 100 other people are doing.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is something that we are seeing in the UK, US, Europe, and obviously India is in the sneaker industry is lagging maybe like
Yeah.
3-4 years, maybe 5 years. So I'm seeing this like out in LSS where I was.
London sneaker.
Yeah,
school,
London
right?
Sneaker School. Yeah. So they are booming right now because people are tired of the basic, the regular Dunks and Jordans that everyone is wearing.
Yeah.
So they have realized this. Like, there is a massive opportunity in the market for people to wear, like, to buy custom sneakers and everything. Which is why there are people starting this every day, like, out there. And it's only a matter of time when India also, like, that bubble will burst,
Yeah.
where people will realize, like, what's the point of
You think
like-
the reseller market will die?
100%. It's already dying, like, out in the UK, Europe, or in the
it
West.
is?
It's all, yeah, like the Lost and Founds, this massive release of the Chicago one, the Lost and Found.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it retailed for like what, 18K, 17K something. Out in the UK, I was getting pairs for like 25K, 30K. Like, this is supposed to be the holy grail shoe that hasn't.
That's the first
yeah.
shoe, right? That Michael Jordan.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was barely any resale on it, in like right after the release. Whereas here, obviously, people were still selling it for 45, 50K. So that's the gap. Like,
Bro, I mean, it's crazy. So even when I look at it from the company perspective, like, let's take Nike and
Mhm.
Adidas, like, and now let's get rid of the resellers. It's just the company and the consumer, okay? They know that people would want customized shoes, right? And I think they've started to do that as well. I think if you go to the Nike store and you pick a shoe, you
Yeah,
have the option
yeah.
to customize it. So what is the difference what they do and what you as an artist can do for the consumer?
So this is what I always tell my clients, like, or not clients, like when we had events and exhibitions and everything, they say, like, why should I like buy this shoe from you? Like, I always tell them, go to Nike and tell them, okay, I want this leather, I want this swoosh like this, I want this. They'll ask you to like fuck off. Like, they're not gonna entertain that.
Yeah, what does Nike entertain?
They have this platform called like Nike ID or Nike by You.
Yeah.
They have the range of products where they allow limited customizations. Like, they will allow you to choose what color of leather or fabric you want and everything, and color of sole and stuff like that. But it's limited, and you can't mess with the silhouette at all. You can't change the swoosh, you can't make the tongue longer, or you can't like add multiple pattern pieces. They won't allow you to do that.
I can't have 3 swooshes on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they will allow you to change the color and leather up to a certain limit, and that's it.
But if I want something more than that, I come to you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now tell me, like, we spoke about before shooting, we spoke about the materials that these guys use, right? And a lot of these guys have started gone to sustainability, like using ocean plastic.
Right.
Adidas does it. I think most of them, there's a thing called as vegan sneakers also right now. So bro, firstly explain to me, what are vegan sneakers? Why is the hype around it right now that's coming in from mainly the US, Europe, UK, whatever?
So I mean, with vegan sneakers, I mean, there's this wave of sustainability and more like self-awareness of what you're buying and everything. So people they want to buy like vegan sneakers so that like they think it's more ethical. I mean, fair enough, it's like their opinion, but you have to know what exactly you're buying in terms of vegan sneakers. If you're just buying artificial leather, synthetic leather sneakers, then what you're actually just buying is plastic shoes, and that's not helping the environment any more than
what
you're using. Like, if you think you're better off buying plastic shoes over leather shoes, then you're very wrong, because that's way more sustainable.
Bro, what is like pineapple leather and all that thing?
So yeah, I mean, like, brands are pushing the boundaries with using plant-based leathers. Okay. So pineapple leather, cactus leather, coconut leather, and I mean, that's a great move. I feel like it could go somewhere, and it could really be a massive thing for the leather industry or the leather goods and shoes industries. But as of now, I still feel they haven't achieved the right level of quality and durability with these products. Plus, they still use plastic in producing these leathers. It's not 100% plant-based. So any leather that you buy, pineapple leather or coconut leather, it will have a percentage of plastic in it. So I mean, maybe in the future, 100%, I feel like with materials being in like innovation and everything, I'm sure we'll see 100% vegan shoes.
So what's the myth around ocean plastic? Like, what is ocean plastic firstly, and how good it is actually for the environment when brands are using ocean plastic to make sneakers?
I mean, it's a great initiative. I feel if they do it right, then I mean, it's really helping the environment. But again, I don't know how much, as I told you earlier, like Adidas making like those Ocean Parley, Ultra Boosts and stuff. They use ocean plastic, but that's only a percentage of the shoe. They're also using normal plastic.
Yeah.
So again, I feel like that is because they have to. Like, it's like impossible at the moment to 100% use ocean plastic, recycled plastic, but it could happen in the future again, like with innovation, with new technologies. I'm sure they'll crack it.
But right now it's like they're using ocean plastic as a percentage of the entire shoe, and they're just marketing it as ocean plastic, and people just think, wow, it's like environment friendly.
Again, like, this was like, don't quote me on this, I have read something related to this where one of the brands, I'm not sure if it was Nike or Adidas, who were advertising it as recycled plastic shoes, but they didn't have the minimum threshold percentage that they have to use in the shoe to market it as a recycled plastic shoe or something.
Okay.
So I think that's something that they got called out for.
Right.
So I mean, as long as brands are being called out for it, they will put in that effort to actually end up making like 100% recycled shoes.
Bro, and for you as a customizer, let's say like I come in and tell you something like I want this material only, or I want a vegan this thing material, whatever, like
Right.
pineapple or leather, something like that only. So then how difficult it is for you also to source that material?
It's what I've experienced in India is trying to get a hold of it in small quantities is hard. Like suppliers will happily sell you quantities in bulk, but just to get, like, if I just want one sheet of pineapple leather, it's difficult.
But
like,
it's expensive.
It is expensive.
How much? Like, what does it cost?
I would say it's probably pretty similar to cow leather or regular leather. Regular leather would probably be around 2 to 3K for like a 10 square foot hide. Like, that's basic quality. I'm not talking about the higher end quality.
And even when you're like making the shoe, like customizing it, do you like tamper with the material a bit?
In what
As
way?
in, like, the essence of the shoe is the leather and everything else, right? So when you're building it back up, you're using the same materials, right? Or you change the materials a bit?
Ideally, I'm using better material. Yeah, because if you look at not even like the Jordan 1 highs or the more expensive Jordans or Adidas pairs, just the standard general release, like the 8K, 9K dunks that you see. There's this YouTuber called Rose Anvil. He cuts through shoes, sneakers, boots, everything. He just cuts through them, burns the leather, does all these kinds of tests to see if what you're paying for is actually worth it.
Okay.
And when he cut through a dunk, it was like the leather was also pretty much plastic. Like it was super thin leather coated with plastic to make it look a little more expensive. So what I do is I try to use the best quality leather that I can find. Durable stuff that isn't really flimsy, isn't too thin, is gonna last. Like, for you can wear that ideally for 30-40 years. And also, because I want the shoe to last, like any customer who has bought a pair from me and says, the shoe is like breaking apart or something, I will happily fix it for them for no extra charge.
Right. Bro, I think it's a big scam when you like actually go into the nitty-gritties of it, of every shoe that's there by the corporations.
Yeah.
You'll find a lot of it, how it's marketed and what is actually out there, the reality. It's like very different, right?
100%. Like, they are trying to cut costs at every corner.
Exactly.
So,
bro, like, let's get to the money part. It's my favorite part. How much of a 10K shoe? And if I just, like, let's say I customize it a bit, I write my initials on it, I add an extra swoosh or something like that, and the colors are more or less the same, and it's the base cost is 10K. How much can you like sell it for?
Just minimal customization. Just, you're saying,
yeah, a minimalist shoe.
Again, like, I feel like it depends on the artist.
Yeah.
One artist might charge 15K for that on top of the price of the shoe. One might charge 5K. It depends on who you go to. But most, like, it's almost like a tattoo artist. Like, most artists, if you go to them and say, I just want an A or a B, they'll be like, nahi karna hai.
No, genuinely, I was thinking about that only. While on the way, so I was thinking that what you do and what a tattoo artist does, there's not a lot of difference, right? In terms of the pricing, it's just that if you're a better artist or like a very popular artist, you'll charge a lot.
Right.
But if you aren't that popular, you'll charge less. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is the same, right?
Exactly.
So
it's the same concept. Like, if you're getting a tattoo, you will go to the artist. You'll go with some sort of idea of what you want.
Yeah.
And then they will probably guide you as to, this will look better, this will like last longer or something like that. It's the same concept. And it's the same concept also, like, if you go to an artist and say, I want to copy this.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, I don't, like, it defeats the point of what I'm doing. Is Like, I want to create something that is personal to you, that only you are going to relate to, and that will make it more meaningful to you. Like, if you just copy another artist.
Yeah, coming to that, what was the best shoe that you've customized? Like, someone came to you and they're, like they gave you an idea, like, I want this, and you're like, fuck, that's a really good idea.
I mean, it's, as of now, so far I haven't had that, but I would say that it's one of the pairs that I made.
Yeah.
Which I blew my own mind. I was like, I have to like make this pair, because I had that design set for like a year and a half on my iPad, and I finally like made it, and it was as good as I thought it would be. It was a Air Jordan 1, like inspired by a bottle of wine.
Okay.
And on that, the leather was completely hand dyed, hand polished, everything. So anytime like I make that pair again, it will never be the same as the previous one. So that's another thing, like again, like a tattoo, like everyone you do will be completely different.
Bro, on an average, if I'm a customizer and if I'm a beginner, let's say what is the average between a beginner and like a guy who's just like good enough, like 1 year into it, and a guy who's like an experienced person? You take all these three people, and what do you think is the average margins that you can sell off in a shoe, on a basic shoe?
I mean, I feel like if you're a experienced person who's established, you can make 400, 500, 600%, like however much you want to make. Because if you have that demand, and you know people are going to come to you because they trust your work more than anyone else's, then they are bound to pay what you are charging.
And to get to that level, now you went to a proper like sneaker school in London, everything. There are people who there's nothing like out there,
Right,
like it's
right.
here, like
Yeah.
nothing's out here. So if I want to get started, I'm just passionate about sneakers, but I'm not that creative, and I really don't know the techniques of how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So can you just tell me like two differences? One, if I'm a design student and if I want to get into it, how do I do it? And if I'm a non-design student, like someone who's in like finance getting into it,
Yeah.
how do I start getting into it?
So the most basic way to get into it, and what I have seen a lot of people try, is you buy a shoe and just deconstruct it, take it apart,
Okay.
figure out how it's like been put together, try it yourself. Just get a standard sewing machine. You can get a cheap one for like 10 to 15k.
Yeah.
Get some leather. Leather is also like, if you get cheap leather, it's 1.5k for a full shoe. And then try it yourself. Like, chances are the first few attempts you will fail, but in the end you'll probably end up making a shoe that resembles a decent sneaker. So that's the basic way of going about it. Just reconstructing. The better and like more experienced way of doing it is going to a school or a workshop where they will teach you all the details, the foundations of making a shoe. That's what I did. I went to a shoemaker who's been making shoes for over 10 years, and he taught me everything from pattern making to like stitching to like the basics of shoemaking that you need to know to make any shoe. If you do that, you're well equipped, you're better equipped to go and make shoes, but also like make your own designs. Maybe like that's how like I turned a Jordan 1 into a loafer. Like I made a pair of Jordan 1 loafers, and if you don't know how to edit patterns or make your own patterns, it's very hard to do something like that.
Yeah. So let's say if there's one option to go to a sneaker school, not a lot of people want to do that or afford that kind of option.
Yeah.
There's one option to do it yourself, deconstruct and reconstruct it,
Mhm.
right? Isn't there anything online, like a very cheaper source and an effective source to learn something?
So a few designers as well as London Sneaker School have their own online course. So you can, if you go to them in person, take the 5-day course, that's around £2,000. Whereas if you buy their online course, it's like £500, and they'll send you the basic materials and the tools that you require to make the shoe.
Okay, they only give it.
Yeah,
to you.
only thing you will need is your own sewing machine.
Yeah. So how much does that cost? I don't know.
Again, like it can, the cheap ones you can get for like 10-15K, something that will do the job. It won't be the best, but it'll do the job. Ideally, you need a post bed which starts at around 30K. Again, that's like the cheaper range, but it can go up to like 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, whatever.
So the average, let's say 1 lakh or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the entire investment for the online course and the sewing machine is 1.5 and around that you can just get done. And
but that will enable you to make one shoe. Like you can make one pair, but then you have the pattern, and then you can go buy other leather and you can get the donor soles.
So that increases your cost.
Yeah.
For every shoe, if
Exactly.
you have to buy the material
Exactly.
and everything, right?
Yeah.
Bro, so the last question for today I have is, what is next for you and what are you trying to do?
Now, having like my main aim up to this time, up to like January, Feb was when I had the event as part of the RGO exhibition. The aim was just to get the name out, but more importantly, get people to know about this. Like people in India have no idea about what I'm doing, or that it's even a thing.
Yeah.
So the main aim up until now was that just raise that awareness that, you know, this is what I'm doing and this is something that's been happening for years out in the West. So now, having raised that awareness, having made people aware of what this is, and this is a thing and it's very popular, the next step is to now open a studio, hopefully like open it up to people so that they can come in, have a look, you know, just spend some time there and get maybe get a better appreciation of what the craft is.
Yeah.
And then eventually, maybe in a few years down the line, start doing what London Sneaker School does, is, you know, start having these courses, and whoever does want to come and learn, like, they can.
Thank you so much, bro, for coming out here.
Great.
It was a genuinely very intellectual conversation that I had. I got to learn a lot of stuff today. So thank you for being here, man, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I mean, this is the first podcast I'm doing, so I hope I did well. And yeah, man, it was a great chat, and I hope more people will be aware of this. I just want to, like,
bro, no, the design is
spread
like
the
very
art.
interesting. So I think more people will at least be intrigued about it. Like, what the fuck is this, you know?
Yeah,
So yeah,
hopefully.
let's see. Cool.